Here TCP stands for Transmission Control Protocol and Internet Protocol. The Internet layer is also known as network layer. So here HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. We are going to study the difference between TCP bar, IP and OSI reference model. Hello to all, welcome to my new session. I am Revati, Faculty, Department of Computer Science, Vidhyaashram, First Grade College, MYSURU. We are on the 7th session of Goals of Layered Protocols. In today's session, I am going to deal with TCP bar IP model. Before going to start my session, I want to recall the things what I discussed in the last session. In the last session, I discussed what is OSI reference model. There we studied different types of OSI reference model. At the same time, we studied the functionalities of OSI reference model. Dear students, in today's session, I am going to deal with TCP bar IP. So what is TCP bar IP? Here TCP stands for Transmission Control Protocol and Internet Protocol. So the TCP bar IP was developed prior to the OSI reference model, but both are not exactly same because TCP provides 4 layers, whereas OSI provides 7 layers. This is the main difference between these two layers. I repeat, the OSI reference model provides 7 layers, whereas TCP bar IP provides 4 layers. So this is the main difference between these two models. The first 3 layers provides physical standards, then network interface, then it provides internetworking and also provides transport functions, that is correspondence to the first 3 layers of OSI reference model. So the first layer provides physical standards, network interface, network interconnecting and the transport functionalities of first 3 layers of OSI standard model, and these 3 layers are presented in TCP bar IP model by a single layer called application layer. That means whatever the functionality which is provided by the TCP bar IP layers, application layer includes the 3 functionalities of OSI reference model, that is physical standard, network interface, interconnecting and transport function. Dear students, we know that the 7 layers of OSI reference model, that is application layer, then we have presentation layer, then we have session layer, then we have transport layer, then we have network layer, then we have data link layer, and at the end we have physical layer. So in TCP bar IP, the first layer includes the functionalities of application layer, presentation layer and session layer. So this is the one layer of TCP bar IP, whereas this is the second layer, this is the third layer, and remaining 2 are the 4th layer of TCP bar IP. So the TCP bar IP includes only 4 layers. So this is the actual TCP bar IP model. So what is the first layer? It is process layer or application layer. Then the second one is host layer. Then the next one is internet layer. The next one it is network access or link layer. So these are the 4 different layers of TCP bar IP model, whereas these are the 7 layers of OSI reference model. So the first layer provides the functionalities of application layer, presentation layer, and session layer of OSI reference model. So this is the overall architecture or overall layers of TCP bar IP, and each layer is responsible for performing some specific kind of functionality. Moving further, we are going to get network access layer. So that is the first layer, second one, third one, and fourth one. So this is the first layer of TCP bar IP model. So it is a network layer, is the lowest layer of TCP bar IP model. I repeat, this is the first layer or this is the lowest layer. Then the network layer combines the functionalities of physical layer and data link layer. So the single network layer of TCP bar IP combines the functionality and features of data link layer as well as physical layer. Then it provides how data should be sent physically through the network. So the network access layer responsible for defining how the data being sent through the network layer. So this layer mainly responsible for the transmission of data between 2 devices on the same network. That means the network access layer is responsible for establishing physical connection between 2 devices. So the main responsibility of this layer is to transmit the data between 2 devices on the same network. The functions carried out by these layers are encapsulating IP address into frames transmitted by the network and mapping of IP address into physical address. So in the network layer, the functionality of network access layer is to encapsulate the IP datagram. Here IP datagram is nothing but a packet into a frames transmitted by the network and mapping the IP address into the physical address. So what is the first thing? So encapsulate the IP datagrams into frames, at the same time mapping the IP address to the physical address. So the protocol is used by these layers are Ethernet. That means some of the protocols used by network access layers are Ethernet, token ring, X.25 frame relay. These are some of the protocols used by this layer. So what are the protocols? It is Ethernet, token ring, X.25, then frame relay. These are some of the protocols used under network access layer. Moving further, we are going to get internet layer. So the internet layer is the second layer of TCP bar IP model. So the internet layer is also known as network layer. So the functionality of internet layer is same as your OSI reference models network layer. So the internet layer is also called network layer. So the main responsibility of the network layer or internet layer is to send the packet from any network and they are arrive at the destination irrespective of the route they take. So the main responsibility of network layer is to send the packet from one network. Send the packet from not only one network, any network, but they can able to take any route to reach the original destination. Moving forward, the main protocol residing at these layers are, that means what are the protocols are used by this TCP bar IP layers are, first one IP. What is IP? Internet protocol. The IP stands for Internet Protocol and it is responsible for delivering the packet from one source to the destination host by looking at the IP address in the packet header, and the most commonly used IP formats are IPv4 and IPv6. So, dear students, just remember that along with the data, it contains destination address. So, here the IP is responsible for delivering packet from the source host to destination host by looking at the IP address. So some of the example, the two versions of IP addresses are, that is IPv4 and IPv6. The another type of protocol here, it is ICMP. So it stands for Internet Control Message Protocol. I repeat, it stands for Internet Control Message Protocol and it is encapsulated with IP datagram. So it is encapsulated with IP datagram and it is responsible for providing host with the information about network problem. That means it gives the complete information about the network to the host. The another type of protocol here, it is ARP. That ARP stands for Address Resolution Protocol. I repeat, ARP stands for Address Resolution Protocol and it is a job is to find the hardware address. The main job of Address Resolution Protocol is to find the hardware address of the host from a known IP address. So, the job of the ARP is to find the hardware address of a host from IP address. That means from the IP address, it is going to extract the hardware address. So, ARP has several types. The different types of address resolution protocols are reserved ARP, proxy ARP, and inverse ARP. These are some of the examples of ARP. Then moving forward, we are going to get host to host layer. So the host to host layer is similar to transport layer of OSI reference model. I repeat, the functionalities is same as OSI reference model. The host to host layer is analogous to the transport layer of the OSI model. It is responsible for end-to-end connection and error-free delivery of data. So here host to host means what? There is a dedicated line between two devices. There is a dedicated connection between two devices. So host to host. So it is responsible for end-to-end communication between sender and receiver, and it is also responsible for error-free delivery of data. The transport layer is responsible for the reliability, flow control, correction of data which is being sent over the network. Some of the functionalities of network layer or host to host layer in TCP/IP model is reliability, flow control as well as correction of data. Moving further, we are going to get two main protocols present in TCP/IP. In that first one, transmission control protocol. So it establishes virtual connection between sender and receiver. I repeat, it is going to establish a virtual connection between sender and receiver. So it provides reliable and error-free communication between two end system. That means by using TCP, we can able to provide reliable and error-free end-to-end communication between two nodes or two hosts. So it performs sequencing and segmentation of data. That means the TCP is responsible for sequencing the packet as well as segmentation of data. So it also has acknowledgement feature and controls the flow of data through flow control mechanism. So here TCP provides acknowledgement. That means it supports acknowledgement. At the same time, it also provides the mechanism, that is flow control mechanism. The next, another protocol here, it is UDP, that is user datagram protocol. So it is a connectionless protocol, whereas TCP is connection oriented protocol. So here user datagram protocol is reliable protocol. It is not based on the acknowledgement. So it won't provide any acknowledgement. In the user datagram protocol, all the data packets are broadcasted. The host, one who listening the transmission media, they can capable to access the datagram or packet which is transmitted by using user datagram packet. Here UDP provides end-to-end communication. At the same time, it is going to discover the error, but it is not going to specify the error type. So these are some of the features of user datagram protocol. Moving further, we are going to get application layer. So in the application layer, it is the topmost layer of TCP/IP. So this layer allows the user to interact with the application. I repeat, this layer provides the facility to the application or the user to interact with the application. When one application layer protocol wants to communicate with another application layer, it forwards its data to the transport layer. When the one application layer protocol want to communicate with the another application layer, it forwards the data to the transport layer. Then this layer performs the functionalities of top 3 layers of OSI reference model. So what are the layers it includes? It is going to include application layer, presentation layer and session layers of OSI reference model into application layer of TCP/IP. That means here TCP/IP combines the features of first three layers of OSI reference model, that is application, presentation and session layer. It's also responsible for node to node communication and controls user interface specification. The job of application layer is to provide node to node communication. That means system or host to host communication and controls user interface specification. The sum of the protocols comes under application layers are HTTP, FTP, SMTP, Telnet, etc. We are going to get the different kinds of protocol used in application layer of TCP bar IP. What is the first protocol? It is HTTP. So here HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. I repeat, HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. This protocol allows us to access the data over the World Wide Web. That means by using HTTP, you can able to access data all around the world. So that is www. It transfers the data in the form of text, audio, video, etc. So here HTTP transfers the data in the form of text, audio and video. It is also known as hypertext transfer protocol as its efficiency to use in a hypertext environment. That means the HTTP is also effectively known for its hypertext environment. The next type of protocol here it is SNMP. So it is Simple Network Management Protocol. I repeat, SNMP, Simple Network Management Protocol, mainly used to manage the network. So it is a framework, I repeat, it is a framework used for managing the devices on the internet by using TCP bar IP protocol. So it is a framework mainly used to manage the devices on the internet by using TCP bar IP protocol suite. Then we are going to get another type of protocol, that is SMTP, that is Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. I repeat, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, and it is mainly designed for mail. So the TCP protocol that supports the email is known as Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. So this SMTP is mainly designed for mail. So this is the one protocol used by the TCP bar IP for the special purpose mailing. So this is also used to send and receive the data from one to another, that is in the form of email. The DNS. So what is DNS? That is Domain Name System. I repeat, Domain Name System. So we know that the IP addresses are written in the form of, are represented in the form of dotted decimal. So when we have huge number of IP address, it is very difficult to remember the IP address, but humans are very easily remember symbolic name. So instead of IP address, a unique name is given to the system, that is known as domain name. So here an IP address is used to identify the connection of host to the internet uniquely. I repeat, the IP address is used to identify the connection of a host to the internet uniquely, but people prefer to use the name instead of IP address. To identify the host in the internet uniquely, what they will use? They are going to specify the name. So, but the people prefer to use the address instead of IP address because it is very difficult to remember IP address. Therefore, the system that maps the name to the IP address is known as domain name system. So, the system that maps IP address to the name is known as domain name system. I repeat, IP addresses are represented in the form of dotted decimal numbers. So when we have huge number of IP address, it is very difficult to remember IP address. Instead of that, humans are going to prefer symbolic name. Instead of IP address, they are going to prefer symbolic name. So the symbolic name itself called domain name. So the domain name system is a system that is mainly used to map domain name or symbolic names to the address is known as domain name system. So we are going to get another type of protocol, that is telnet. So it is abbreviation for terminal network. I repeat, this is the abbreviation for terminal network. So it established the connection between the local computer and remote computer. Suppose whenever you want to establish a connection between your local computer to remote computer, then we are going to use telnet, that is terminal network. The next type of protocol here it is FTP, that is file transfer protocol. So FTP is a standard internet protocol used for transmitting the file from one computer to another computer. So this is the standard protocol mainly used to transfer the file from one system to another. These are the certain protocols comes under application layer of TCP bar IP. We are going to study the difference between TCP bar IP and OSI reference model. What is the first difference here? The TCP refers to transmission control protocol, whereas OSI refers to open system interconnection. Then what is the second difference? So TCP bar IP consists only 4 layers, whereas OSI reference model has 7 layers. Then the TCP bar IP is reliable, whereas the OSI reference model is less reliable compared to TCP bar IP suite. Dear students, the fourth difference is the TCP bar IP does not have any strict boundaries, whereas the OSI reference model have strict boundaries. Then the TCP bar IP follows horizontal approach, whereas OSI reference model follows vertical approach. In TCP bar IP, the session and presentation layers are combined and it is formed as application layer. Then TCP bar IP developed protocol than model. I repeat, it is developed as protocols. Protocols means what? It is a set of rules mainly used to govern the communication media. Whereas the OSI model, it is a model rather than protocol. So the another difference, the transport layer in TCP does not provide assurance delivery of packets. So whatever the transport layer present in the TCP, it does not assure, it does not provide the assurance of delivering the packets, whereas the OSI reference model transportation layer provides the assurance of delivery of packets. That means it is mainly based on the acknowledgement. The next difference under TCP bar IP model is TCP bar IP model network layer only provides connectionless service. I repeat, the TCP bar IP's network layer provides only connectionless service, whereas the OSI reference model, the network layer provides both the services, that is connection oriented as well as connectionless. Then under TCP bar IP, the protocols cannot be replaced easily in TCP bar IP model. That means whatever the rules are defined, that is predefined one, and you cannot able to replace the protocols in TCP bar IP. Whereas in OSI model, protocols are better covered and easy to replace with the change in the technology. So these are the some of the difference between TCP bar IP and OSI reference model. Moving further, we are going to study HDLC in my next session. In my next session, I'm going to deal with HDLC. This is the third unit, comes under data communication and computer network. Dear students, in today's class, we studied what is TCP bar IP and the 4 different layers of TCP bar IP and their functionality. Today's session, you got more information about TCP bar IP. Thank you for watching my session. Let's meet in the next session. Until then, take care. Thank you.